Plug.
Good morning! Welcome back to Puff Daddy News. Today we have special coverage on terrorism. In this broadcast, we'll be owning in on Al-Qaeda and the IRA, displaying the global impacts that both groups have had on the global scene. Kicking it off first, we have Aldo Delora talking about the impacts Al-Qaeda has had on the global scene.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to say thank you to Sully for inviting me on this show. I'm very happy to be here. But let's start with Al-Qaeda. So Al-Qaeda is a broad-based militant Islamic organization founded by Islamic bin Laden. The organization started as a logistical network to help support Muslims fighting against the Soviet Union during the Afghan War. The organization would transform into an active terrorist organization known for carrying out the September 11 attacks. The motivation of the Al-Qaeda are complex and varied, but members of the organization hold values such as eliminating the foreign presence in Islamic lands, fulfilling their religious duties, resistance to Western influence, as I see this as a cultural assault on the Islamic world, and political objectives, such as the Madrid bombings, which were aimed at practical, short-term objectives, such as securing the withdrawal from Spanish troops in Iraq. The Al-Qaeda has had numerous key impacts on the modern world. The start of Al-Qaeda has orchestrated the September 11th attacks against the United States, resulting in nearly 3,000 deaths. This would spring the world into a global war on terror. These attacks led to significant change in international security policies. We could see this in the ways we go on airplanes, TSA, all that stuff. This would heighten the vigilance against terrorism. Specifically, nearly 1 million lives have been lost as a direct result of this ongoing conflict, including military members, civilians, journalists, and humanitarian aid workers. Secondly, the aggression of 9/11 fueled widespread anti-Americanism globally. Terrorism in this area intensified tensions between the West and Muslim world as we see resentment towards the rest. In the Middle East, Al-Qaeda's propaganda and recruitment efforts have radicalized individuals and plagued the area with fear. This group promotes terrorism and it continues to inspire lone wolf attacks and extremist movements, such as the Taliban. Al-Qaeda's presence affects Afghanistan's stability, complementing efforts towards peace and security. Even today, people in this area live in fear and are severely impacted by the extremist Islamic-backed terrorist organizations. Coming back to you will be Sully with the IRA. Stay tuned.
Whopper, junior, double, triple, Whopper, flame grill taste with perfect toppers. I rule this day. Lettuce, mayo, pickle, ketchup, it's okay if I don't want that Impossible or bacon Whopper, any Whopper my way. You rule your season today at BK, have it your way.
Let's dive into the terrorist groups of the North IRA. The people of Northern Ireland created paramilitary groups that sought to end British rule and promoted the reunification of Ireland. The two most prominent groups being the Provisional Irish Republican Army and the Real Irish Republican Army. Disclaimer, I will be abbreviating the Provisional Irish Republican Army, I will call the PIRA, and the Real Irish Republican Army, I will call the RIRA. The PIRA group merged in December of 1969, and the RIRA group formed in 1997. The group's main objectives were to reunite Ireland by using physical force to end the British sovereignty of the nation. They waged their campaign against the police of Northern Ireland and the British Army. The Real Irish Republican Army was the largest and most active of these rebellious groups, having shootouts and bombings to attack the British security forces. The RIRA used the tactic of bombing town centers to damage the economic infrastructure of Northern Ireland. They used car bombs, landmines, homemade mortars, and more. The Le Mans restaurant bombing was carried out by the PIRA and was one of the many terrorist attacks that was imposed on the nation. A small blast bomb was attached to larger gas canisters, which were filled with a homemade napalm-like substance containing gasoline and sugar, referred to as box bombs. The bombs have been used in many previous attacks and were produced in bomb factories. The device was designed to stick to whatever it hit, causing serious burn damage to both people and structures. 450 people were in the hotel restaurant when the bomb exploded, causing a fireball 40 feet high and 60 feet wide, killing 12 people who were promptly burned beyond recognition and injuring 30 more who were in critical condition. After the attack, the PURA apologized for the inadequate warning and the abrasiveness of the attack. The RERA carried out the Oma bombing. On August 15, 1988, the RERA left a car containing 500 pounds of explosives in the center of County Tyrone. The bombers failed to locate a parking space near the courthouse, which is the intended target of the bombing. This prompted inaccurate warnings about the attack to be broadcasted, leading to the deaths of 29 individuals and injured 220 more. These are just the more damaging of the many countless terrorist attacks imposed by paramilitary groups in Northern Ireland. These events significantly affected the people of Northern Ireland by causing widespread chaos, panic, and death across the nation. Socially, civilians faced the constant threat of bombings, shootings, and intimidation, affecting the daily life of many residents. Also, the IRA's actions intensified sectarian tensions between Catholics and Protestants. As a result, communities were divided along religious and political lines. Economically, the prolonged conflict disrupted economic activities as business suffered and infrastructure was damaged. Politically, the IRA's legacy continues to shape Northern Ireland's politics, identity, and social fabric. Coming back from our break, we will be discussing possible solutions to combat terrorism and seeing what the United Nations Counter-Terrorist Committee is doing to help.
Painting a room is easy. All the work is in the edging, and the edges are everywhere. Meet EdgeMaster, the self-guided rolling edger. With EdgeMaster, you can paint every edge effortlessly because EdgeMaster's beveled edge self-guides as you paint. It's how to order.
Call 1-800-694-9797.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. In this segment, we're going to be showcasing the possible solutions to counterterrorism and seeing what the United Nations of Counterterrorism Committee, otherwise known as the CTC, are doing to combat terrorism globally. The CTC was established by Security Council Resolutions 1373 in response to September 11th attacks. The CTC ensures that all UN member states adhere to the Resolution 1373, as they all should criminalize various acts associated with terrorism, as well as the participation, financing, planning, preparation, or perpetration of such attacks. The resolution emphasized the need to bring terrorists to justice through effective criminalization. The CTC actively promotes the implementation of the United Nations Global Counterterrorism Strategy. This strategy provides a common strategic and operational approach for all UN member states to prevent and counter terrorism through the 4 pillars of global strategy.
The first pillar is to address conditions conducive to the spread of terrorism. This pillar aims to understand and reduce the root causes that lead to terrorism by addressing factors such as poverty, inequality, political instability, and social grievances. By addressing these factors, we can lower the attraction of extremist ideologies. Secondly, the UN measures to prevent and combat terrorism through the second pillar. Moving on to the third pillar, this pillar aims to strengthen and build states' capacity to deal with terrorist movements through UN involvement. This includes technical assistance, training, and coordination among countries. Finally, the fourth pillar's objective is to ensure respect for human rights and the rule of law. The UN states that upholding human rights and the rule of law is fundamental in the fight against terrorism, emphasizing prevention, protection, and respect for human rights.
Clearly, the CTC plays a huge global role in counteracting terrorism by laying the framework and aiding countries of all economic statuses to combat terrorism.
Thanks for watching Puff Daddy News. Have a wondrous afternoon, stay safe, and we'll see you later.